Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, middle of the week. Yeah, I don't talk much in the morning until I get to you guys, so I gotta clear the throat a little bit. Good morning, everybody. You've got gas, and if you're watching, you are a gasaholic. Thank you for joining in on the morning edition of Gas. Last night, we launched our first evening edition since March. Now, again, we can't go back in studio, so we're preparing our shows via Zoom video. And next week, we'll get you the link. You can become part of the studio audience and be with us on Gas, the evening edition. So plan on it. Next Tuesday, 6 p.m., Gas comes back in the evenings every week, and you can join us. Hi, Kathy. Good morning to you back there in Tennessee. Hope all's well back there. Bob Lohman, good morning to you as well. All right, what is it that started you in the car hobby? What got you interested in cars? Well, when I was a kid, I couldn't own a real car, but the model cars, that was cool. I could build a model car to make it look like I thought or wanted it to. So I started with model cars. Now, a lot of people have the Johnny Lightning models, these little bitty things. And I also got, at the time, Johnny Lightning didn't exist. Hot Wheels didn't exist. We had Matchbox cars. They came out of Europe. They're primary European cars, and maybe that's why I have a penchant for imported vehicles. I really like the British cars, and Matchbox was the ones they have. I can remember setting up whole roadblocks and traffic jams with all of the cars I had at the time. Where they are now, I don't know, but some cars have stayed with me over the years. Model cars and collectibles. Now, even Johnny Lightning is so cool, they actually came out with a replica of my car. That's right. If you check it out, they came out with a whole series of Ford Mavericks. And when my car hit the pages of Legendary Ford magazine, about that time, was it Johnny Lightning? No, Hot Wheels. It wasn't Johnny Lightning. Hot Wheels came out with a whole series of Mavericks and Grabber Blue, just like mine. I'll show it to you, but I have to take it off the wall. It's mounted. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But model cars got me started. I got to build cars. I got to see what the parts were. It helped me identify the names of the components on a real car. Now, I still have some of the cars I built decades ago, and they're on display. But I also have promo models. And a lot of the companies like AMT, Johan, Revell, they got into the promo models. And the promo model was basically a little scale model of a current vehicle sold by a dealership. General Motors, Ford, Chrysler, they all commissioned these companies to make these promo models. Now, they had basic interiors, one piece. They had basic chassis, one piece. Things didn't move around. They didn't have adjustments. It was just a solid bottom. And I'll show you a picture of that in just a little bit. But they also had some interesting things. And one of the interesting ones I've got, and I believe this is built by AMT, was this Ford Thunderbird. Now, you see this little thing down here? That's where the battery goes. This is a promotional item from Ford dealers. It was a radio. That's right, a Thunderbird promotional model radio. The only place you could get this back in the day was from your Ford dealer. And usually when you bought a Thunderbird, they gave you the little one. You got the little one, you bought the big one. It's that simple, and that's what they said. Now, AMT is one of the older companies, although they were not the first. AMT started out as aluminum model. Well, let's see. Let's go back and find out what that is. There we go. Aluminum Model Toys. That was the name of AMT. Now, the reason they changed their name from Aluminum Model Toys to just plain AMT was back in the early 1950s, injected molded plastic became very popular and a lot less expensive to do than trying to cast these promotional models out of aluminum or making them out of pressed steel. So AMT switched very early over to the plastic, and they could cast them in various colors. And I've got a whole series of AMT promotional models for Chevrolet of the C4 Corvette. Now, as you can see, the detail on the outside looks pretty good. Even the name on the back of the car, the year on the back of where the license plate would be, the wheels are pretty well detailed. The underside is very simplistic. Now, some of the models, as you can see here, have the detail. Some just have a flat bottom on them. This one, it says licensed by GM Corp. It doesn't say AMT on it, who was the company that made these. On the box that they came in, though, it did say AMT. So we'll go into that in a little bit. So AMT was one of the companies, but it wasn't the first. Johan was one of the first companies, and Johan started out in the late 1940s, and they were started out by an attorney who decided he'd do this stuff. So he started making models. He had a connection to Ford, and he was making these models for Ford Motor Company originally. He started out with a four-door 48 Ford sedan and went on from there. But model cars started to get popular. By that time, though, there were other companies that have gotten in on this. We talked about AMT. There was Johan. There was Revell out of Europe. Monogram, Lindbergh, and MPC all had their hands in making model cars. Denny Sanders' AMT and Johan made models of many great American cars in the 60s. Yes, they did. Now, Johan hasn't made cars in quite some time. They kind of faded away. Initially, Johan, the name of the company was Ideal. The problem was, in the 70s, they had to change that name because there was already a company called Ideal Toy Company. So they took the first two letters and the last three letters of the founder and came up with the name Johan. Hi, Danny Santos. How are you doing this morning, too? Good to see you this weekend, Danny, at the Road Kings Coronavirus Cruise. Yep. Easy for me to say, right? I just brushed my teeth and I can't do a thing with them. Sorry. All right, so promo models became the basis for model cars. Once they realized that these were popular, they started making them in model kits. And these kits allowed you to build it as it came from the factory or customize them with decals, not stickers. We didn't have stickers. We had decals. They were water slide decals. You had to cut off the decal from a piece of paper, soak it in a little bit of water, not too long, and then apply it to the part of the model car that you wanted it to be on. Now, some of the cars of the past, well, I like the hot rods, and I'll show you what I've got here. Now, this is a model. It is a relatively new version of the Green Hornet. Now, the Green Hornet was strictly a model car. It was based on a real car back in the day, but now the real vehicle, they've reproduced it. Currently, it's at Galpin, Galpin Motors. They've got it in their museum, the Grasshopper. Now, I built the model years and years ago, and it was on my shelf. And when this came back out in reproduction, this is a new version of the model kit, I already had it. So here it is. Here's how it came out. You can see what the box looked like. Now, I didn't put the sticker or the decal on it. I just built the model car. But you can see there is good detail in these. The roll cage, the single bucket seat, the moon-style hubcaps, 32 chopped shell, dropped beam axle with the single buggy spring, and a blown Oldsmobile engine. Yes, it is. That's what they put in it. Now, the real car is sitting over at Galpin. You can see it. But here's the model. Here's the car, the model. And the real car is over there. Now, I'll put this down for a second. Don't go anywhere. I'm just bending over. You're not leaving, are you? Good. Hi, Tom Ramsey. How are you doing? Mike Scott. All right, this is another one that I enjoyed. Now, when I was a kid, Monogram made this model as a kit and as a slot car. I could never afford the slot car, but the slot cars are really expensive even today of this particular model. It wasn't quite 1/24th scale. It wasn't quite 1/25th scale like the others, and that's where AMT made most of theirs at the 1/25th. There was a the difference between 124th and 125th and why some manufacturers chose that or not, I don't know. This car, though, is larger than that scale, and I'm not quite sure where it is. It's not quite 1/8, but here's the model box, and it's a Revell, or excuse me, a Monogram. Revell ended up taking over Monogram later on. And here is the built model. I did use the decals for this one, getting it on there. Now, I originally bought this model to make my own slot car out of it. And I've got a few of these boxes in the garage, ready to go whenever I get off my butt and do it. Hi, Jason, how you doing? And GAAS has restored a number of Roth cars, not just two. They've restored many of the Roth cars. They have the largest collection of Roth cars in the world. And we actually, if you go to Talking About Cars, we did a special show on the guys from GAAS, from Galpin Autosports, and talked about the cars they are building and the Roth cars they've restored. There's a special display for them in a museum right now where they've taken the cars for a special presentation. All right, so this is the sprint car, and as you can see, it's quite large. This was supposed to be small, a small race car. Whoops. Got to get myself coordinated here. All right. But here's the Corvette in 1/25th scale. And as you can see, the Corvette is actually smaller than the race car, which is supposed to be smaller than the Corvette. So we're not sure what scale this is. Maybe someone can tell me. But here's the promo. Here's the model car. Hi, Mark McGeorge. Good morning to you. You're baking in Arizona today? I understand it's going to be a little toasty there. All right, so here's, again, two models, the promo and the model car. This is what got me going as a kid. Seeing even the engine is showing here. Take the hood off, and that's a representation of an Offenhauser 4-cylinder. Put the hood back on. There we go. I'm not going anywhere. Stay still. 104 already, Tom Ramsey? Are you in Arizona today? Visiting the grandkids? Woo! All right, another model kit that was very popular was the Black Widow. All right, here's the Black Widow. Now, this was never a real car at first. There is a version of this, a car that was made. Troy at Hollywood Hot Rods was commissioned to make the real car. And he did. This particular box is signed by Troy Ladd and the gentleman who Troy built the car for. The Black Widow was an exact replica of the model, which was rather difficult because the car never really existed. And the model proportions and shapes were not quite accurate to real cars. But Troy and his crew made an exact replica of the model that was running and driving. And it is a beautiful representation. As a matter of fact, they actually made a backdrop bigger than the car of this particular box and then placed it behind the car when it was on display at the Grand National Roadster Show. I got this at an auction, and Troy and the owner of the car signed it for me, and I've got it. It will never be assembled. I've got it home. Tom Ramsey, he's lucky he's at home. It's 105 degrees in L.A. Mark McGeorge, 106 in Arizona. Okay, I'll tell you what it's like here in beautiful downtown Oxnard. Well, it's 62 today. It's going to get up warm. It's going to get up to 70 today. Yeah, going to be a scorcher. Anyway, that goes on. Now, model car building and model cars have gone even further. And what I've got that I'm going to be working on, this is a project I may start today or this week sometime or maybe next week or whenever I get around to it. Now, here is a 1953 Ford convertible. Nice detail on the box picture. And the picture on the box is the actual model that's built. I am not going to build it. Well, I'm not going to build a convertible. Hi, Danny. And what was the one, the Happy Days opening scene. Yeah, that was a neat car, too. That was a Model A Roadster pickup. Simon Groves, good morning to you over in the UK. How are you doing today? Hope your weather's good. So this is a model kit. It was put out by another company called Lindbergh. And you can see their logo right there. So Lindbergh was another company that makes, and still makes, model cars. Now what I'm going to do with this, and I was told this is the basis kit for a special one I'm doing, and it's a resin body. It's the 1953 Woody Ford wagon. Now this is a resin kit, or resin body, that was special cast by a guy, and they call it Frankenstein is the name. I got to get the actual number. You can get them on many model sites. I got this one off eBay, and it is a 1953 Ford Woody. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the parts from this model to complete this. The basis of this was the model car. Now, Lindbergh never made a station wagon version. They never made the Woody wagon. But the person who made this resin version used the model for the sizing. So all the chrome pieces, the chassis, the interior, or much of the interior, will come from this model kit. So that might be my goal. I mean, during the coronavirus lockdowns here, got to do something. I've already built a 1/8 scale Corvette model that's, it's big. As a matter of fact, I took a picture of it in my garage, and my wife thought I bought another Corvette. Very detailed, from Monogram. And it's a huge machine. They made a number of large-scale models. 1/8 scale, I believe, is what it is. And it's about 1.5 feet long. I've got that. I did the C4 Corvette. I've got the C3 Corvette to do. But then we've got these smaller ones. They take up less space. The detail is just as good on these. But model car building, that's how we got started. How are you enabled in your car hobby? Hey, Tom Ramsey, yeah. Hey, Tom, we're going to be doing a cruise in Burbank, the Road Kings Coronavirus Tour this Saturday. We're going to start at the Fry's Electric Shop over on Hollywood Way in Burbank. We're going to start gathering around 10 a.m. and start cruising and saying thank you to all the first responders. We're going to cruise all the fire stations and the police department in Burbank to say thank you for what they have done for us and how they protect us. So we're going to be out there in Burbank for the Corona Cruise, put on by the Road Kings Car Club. You can meet us and greet us. It's open to everyone and anyone. 10 a.m., Fry's Electric in Burbank. Look them up, get their address, see you there at 10, and we'll be cruising. All right, so that's how I got into the car hobby, whether it was model cars, slot cars, HO, Matchbox, Johnny Lightning. All right, I said I'd show you the Hot Wheels version of my car, so let's go over and take a look at that. Let me switch this around. All right, up here on the wall. Now there's the picture of my car that was in Legendary Ford magazine. It's a 1971 Maverick. Now, it is a grabber. Hi, Raphael. How are you doing this morning from Italy? And here is the Hot Wheels version that came out shortly after the magazine article. So, would I say it is my car that they copied? You know what? I think it is, and I'm going to say that. But there's the Hot Wheels version. And there is the, you can see, it's me, 1971 Maverick Grabber, Bob Beck. And there was the centerfold out of Legendary Ford magazine. Hello, Raphael. Good morning to you. All right, I've got a few of them. Now, later on, Hot Wheels or Johnny Lightning came out with a whole series of Mavericks. Let's get this all turned around here. Here we go. And I have the complete collection of the Hot Wheels and Johnny Lightning Mavericks as well. I was somewhat involved in Mavericks for a while. So with that came a lot of the great Maverick models. The Sprint, the very patriotic red, white, and blue Mavericks they came out with, plus various colors of the Maverick Grabber. So how did you enable your car hobby? That's what I did. That's how I got into it. How am I going to poison the grandkids? Model cars. We've already started them out with pedal cars. Now, once they get skilled enough and calmed down enough, we'll get them into the model cars. Getting them into the slot cars, too. Hi, Danny Santos. Now, that's what I call cool. Thank you very much. Jeff Kreider, Dragster. Jeff is here with us, too, out of Bakersfield. I understand you were doing a little bit of shaking and baking up there. Mother Nature forgot to take her earth control pill. A little bit of an earthquake up in Bakersfield. I miss being up there. Got to get up there for, hopefully, the Hot Rod reunion in October. All right, that's it for today. GAAS, the Great American Auto Scene, brought to you by Moon Eyes, Valley Head Service, Beach Underwriting Associates, Service Tech with all your garage equipment needs, Tucker Tire, your tire source in West Covina, and Irwindale Drag Strip. Rumor is, and I'm going to confirm it, I'll post it, Irwindale Drag Strip will reopen on the 4th of June. That's the theory now. That's what I've seen. I'm going to get it confirmed, and hopefully we're going to go racing starting next week at Irwindale. But check my pages out. We'll promote it. We'll let people know what's going on. If it is true, and it's going to happen, gates will open at 4 p.m. Racing will start at 5 p.m. till 10 p.m. It'll be drag racing at its best here in Southern California. Denny Sanders says he's got a model of his race car that he built back in the mid-'70s, right after he started racing, and that was probably a Johan model because they were doing the Chrysler promos and then made them into model car kits. Hi, Lloyd. How are you doing today? Lloyd Pearson has tuned in. Glad you could be with us today. All right, Gasaholics, thank you for tuning in. Remember, Gas every morning at 11 a.m. right here on Facebook. Glad you could join me. Glad you could be here with me. I really appreciate it. And then starting next week, we did a test last night. It worked pretty good. Gas in the evening with Randy Cardoon and myself. We'll see if Anna Octane can join us and Joe Walla as well. We'll get things going. Gas in the evening. It will be on Zoom video. So not only do you get to see us and listen to us, but you get to be in the show, part of the show. It's only open to 100 people. So check it out. Zoom video. I will send the link out and see how it goes for next Tuesday at 6 p.m. But every morning at 11 a.m., we'll give you gas in the morning. I'm Hot Rod Bob, and you've got gas. The Great American Auto Scene, part of Two Tired Guys Productions, talking about cars and gas. Sister shows you can listen to and see. Gas is the video show. Talking about cars is audio at radio.com and knx1070.com. Check it out. I'm Hot Rod Bob, and again, you've got gas, the morning edition. Take care. Denny, take care of that Mopar. All of those great Mopars you've got. We'll see you now. Larry, Oriole, how are you in Arizona? You got to be baking back there. Take care, folks. I'm Hot Rod Bob, and you've got gas.